The day my grandfather died, he left me something more valuable than money. He left me his 1967 Mustang Fastback. But that car wasn't just a gift. It was 10 years of grease-covered weekends, 10 years of busted knuckles, 10 years of learning how to build something with my own hands beside the only person in my family who ever really saw me. So when my parents stole it from my driveway and gave it to my golden child brother, they expected me to surrender. Instead, I reported it stolen. And that's when everything exploded. I knew something was wrong the moment I pulled into my driveway. The oil stain was still there. The faint outline of the tires was still visible in the dust, but the car was gone. My Mustang, the Apulco blue fastback I had spent years restoring with my grandfather. Gone. I stood there in the quiet evening air, my work boots heavy on the pavement, keys clenched so tightly in my hand they dug into my palm. A normal thief wouldn't take that car. Classic cars are tricky. The clutch requires a specific touch. The carburetor floods easily if you don't know what you're doing. A random thief would have taken my neighbor's Lexus, not my Mustang. Which meant this wasn't random. I already knew who took it. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone. I called my parents' house. My father answered on the fourth ring. "Hello, Riley." His voice was calm, too calm. "Where is it?" I asked. "Where is what?" he replied. "The Mustang, Grandpa's car, the one titled in my name." There was a pause, then he sighed. That same annoyed sigh he used when I was a kid asking too many questions. "Riley, Kyle left for campus today. He needed reliable transportation, so we made an executive decision as a family." My chest tightened. "You stole my car." "We reallocated a family asset," he corrected sharply. "Kyle is going to a prestigious university. He needs to make a certain impression." "It's not a family asset," I said through clenched teeth. "It's legally mine." "Oh, stop with the legal nonsense," he snapped. "You have a truck. You don't need the Mustang. Kyle does." The line went dead, just like that. No apology, no discussion, just a decree. I sat at my kitchen table staring at my laptop. A folder labeled Bluebird documentation was open on the screen. Inside were scanned copies of everything. The title in my name. Grandpa's will transferring the car to me. Insurance papers. Roman, my father, thought being my dad meant he could override the law. He thought I'd complain, maybe cry, and eventually give in. Then my phone buzzed. A text from my mom. "Don't be difficult, Riley. Your father is stressed. Kyle is so happy. Let him have this moment. Love you." I stared at the message. "Don't be difficult." As if being robbed was a personality flaw. That's when I opened another app on my phone. When I restored the Mustang, I upgraded the electrical system. Hidden wiring. Modern electronics tucked under vintage panels. And buried deep inside the chassis a GPS tracker, with a remote kill switch. The blue dot was moving steadily along the interstate. Kyle was already 2 hours away, probably blasting music, probably grinning like he owned the world. "You forgot one thing," I whispered to the empty room. "You didn't just take a car. You took evidence. To understand why this hurts so much, you have to understand my family. I was the mistake. Kyle was the miracle. My parents had me when they were barely 20, struggling, unprepared. Then 5 years later, Kyle arrived. By then, my dad's real estate career was booming. Kyle became the center of everything. If Kyle wanted pizza, we got pizza. If Kyle had a game, we canceled plans to watch him sit on the bench. If Kyle broke something, it was an accident. If I broke something, I was careless. I didn't fit the mold they wanted. I was quiet, curious. I liked taking things apart. My grandfather was the only person who never treated that like a flaw. He was a retired engineer with a garage full of tools and endless patience. When I was 12, I started spending every weekend there. While Kyle went to expensive sports camps, I learned how engines worked. One afternoon, he wiped grease from his hands and said something I'll never forget. "Riley, the world is full of people who know how to break things. Be one of the few who knows how to fix them." The Mustang was sitting in his barn then. Rusty, broken, forgotten. When I turned 16, he made me a deal. Help him restore it, really restore it, and one day it would be mine. For 4 years that car became my life. When Grandpa died last year, the Mustang wasn't just a vehicle. It was where my memories lived, where my grief lived, where he still felt close. My parents never understood that. To them, it was just a valuable asset, something they could sell for Kyle's tuition, or apparently give away. I picked up the phone and dialed the police non-emergency line. "Police dispatch," the operator said. "I need to report a stolen vehicle," I replied. "I know the suspect. I have proof of ownership, and I have the vehicle's location." At the station, a tired officer named Miller listened as I laid my documents across the desk. Title: Insurance Appraisal. Text messages from my parents admitting they took the car. He read them slowly, then leaned back in his chair. "That's a '67 Mustang," he asked. "Yes." "Appraised at $45,000? "Yes." He nodded slowly. "That's grand theft auto." Then he looked me directly in the eyes. "If we recover the vehicle, your brother will be arrested. Once charges start, you can't take them back." I thought about my father laughing on the phone, about Kyle calling the car a panty dropper, about the empty space in my driveway. "I want to report my car stolen." I showed Miller the GPS tracker. The dot slowed near a highway rest stop. I hovered my finger over the red button. Immobilize. The system wouldn't shut the engine off while moving. But once the car stopped and the ignition turned off, it would never start again. "He's stopping," I said quietly. I tapped the button. "Target disabled. He's not going anywhere now." Miller grabbed his radio. Highway patrol rolled in. 40 minutes later, my phone rang. "Kyle," Miller motioned for me to answer on speaker. "Riley," Kyle shouted. "What is wrong with this car? What do you mean?" "It won't start. I stopped for food and now it's dead. You gave me a lemon." The audacity almost made me laugh. "Where are you?" I asked. "The Stanton rest area. Just call AAA or something." In the background, a siren chirped. Gravel crunched. A new voice spoke. "Step away from the vehicle, son." "What?" Kyle said. "It's just broken down." "Step away from the vehicle and place your hands on the roof." "Riley," Kyle's voice cracked. "What's happening?" "You're being arrested," I said calmly. "For grand theft auto." "What? Mom and Dad gave it to me." "I reported it stolen." The line went dead. 2 minutes later, my father called. "What have you done?" he roared. "Kyle is in a police car. They're impounding the Mustang." "I told you," I said quietly. "It's my car." "You're ruining his life," he screamed. "You call them right now and say it was a mistake." "I can't do that," I replied. "That would be filing a false police report." "I don't care about the law," he shouted. "We're family," I finally snapped. "Or what, Dad? You'll take my car again?" "You already did." Silence. Then he growled, "We're coming to the station." "Good," I said. "I'm sure the officer here would love to hear your explanation." My parents stormed into the station 40 minutes later, red-faced, furious. My mom tried one last trick. She pulled out paperwork claiming I had signed the Mustang over to Kyle. The officer examined the document, then handed it to me. "Is this your signature?" I looked at it. My stomach dropped. "No," I said slowly. "That's my mother's handwriting trying to copy mine." The room went quiet. Maria started crying. Roman tried to talk his way out, but the officer's voice turned cold. "Ma'am, did you just hand me a forged document?" That's when everything really collapsed. Kyle was already under arrest. Now my mother was facing forgery charges. I thought the night couldn't get worse. Then my phone buzzed. Bank alert. Balance 0. My parents had drained my savings account. $5,000. Transferred to Kyle's tuition fund. I stared at the screen. They stole my car, forged documents, and now they stole my money. I walked back to Officer Miller. "I have another crime to report." He raised an eyebrow. "What happened now?" I handed him my phone. "They emptied my bank account." For the first time all night, the officer actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because he knew exactly what it meant. My parents didn't just steal a car. They built an entire criminal case against themselves. And I had every piece of evidence, bolt by bolt. Just like Grandpa taught me, sometimes fixing something means taking the whole machine apart. And my family, they had just stripped the final thread. After listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind. Every day, new experiences and moments create fresh stories. We are all human. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon.